All right, let's continue with some of the questions and answers. Thanks for sending the questions in. The first one is by Slash Goodman. Thank you for the content. I have a question. I've been told that to punch with more power, I had to sit down more on my legs. Good advice. While punching and stay stuck to the ground. But sometimes I kind of see videos of Tyson where he jumps into the hooks he throws. What do you think about punching and jumping at the same time? Would you recommend it? No, I would not. It puts you in a vulnerable position after the jump. Look, if you jump while you hook and you don't land that, that's all you got. That's your move. That's your only move. You don't have a follow-up move in a reasonable amount of time. So in other words, stay grounded and throw that punch, and then you have any kind of different move that you want in order to back up off to the side, block, come up with additional punches, etc. It's an interesting question though, because ultimately, if I want to throw the hardest punch possible, I need to get full extension of my legs, right? Think about an Olympic weightlifter or a track and field shot putter. Full extension to get maximum power. So that will be the way that we can throw the most power with our punch. But like I said, it's a bad idea in a fight. The good thing is the next best way to kind of take advantage of that leg power, we covered this in a past video, is to sit down on the legs. And that's because for every action down, there's an equal and opposite reaction up. So if we want to grab and take advantage of that leg power, we need to sit down with as much force as possible. Sit down quickly, it comes back in an equal amount that we can then utilize into our hips and into our punch. A couple things to think about. Number one, we have to sit down quickly. Don't make it a slow sit or you're not going to have anything to come back with. And number two, it doesn't have to be a big sit. It can be a barely perceptible sit, just a movement and an intention of that weight going downwards. Good question. But the one, stay stuck on the ground while punching and stay stuck on the ground. I just don't like that word stuck on the ground. I think that's a bad way to be in boxing. Just think about whenever you throw a punch, whether it's with power or not with power, what can I do after that? Can I immediately throw a punch and then step off, step back, step off, or come back with other punches? If I'm stuck in the ground, the first thing I gotta do to make an effective second movement is get unstuck. Be unstuck from the beginning. Okay, second question by T. Kelly MC. Beard looks good, mate. How do you effectively throw the double jab? Do you bring it back each time? So I think if any of you that have watched a lot of my videos, you'll notice that I rarely say always and rarely say never. In fact, I don't know if I ever have. And that's because it's going to be totally dictated by what the fight needs at that moment. And then what am I going to do and what are the consequences? Having a knowledge of the consequences of what I'm going to do. So as an example, for a double jab, if I'm fighting a guy who kind of catches that first jab good, but then kind of puts it to sleep, kind of heavy on his legs, it's just kind of one move and then done. Well then, yeah, maybe I want to put that jab out there, come all the way back, grab that full power, and come right back with a second punch, catch him flat-footed, snap that head back, come with something bigger. All right? But what if the guy catches that first punch and is real slick at catching that punch, coming right over the top of the counter right? If I'm trying to come all the way back with that second jab, he's going to catch me with that counter. So in that case, maybe I go out with a jab, come back slightly, and go right back out. It's not going to be as powerful, but I'm just looking to disrupt his movement at that point. So it's situation dependent. It's a good question too. Obito, love the beard, man. A lot of you guys love the beard. Goomba, is the beard itchy? Does it keep the face warm? Marty, I'm gonna shave this thing off as soon as this quarantine's over. Kesser Salam, what do you think of throwing punches with jump stretch bands which are attached to objects at shoulder height? Okay, so if I attach a band at shoulder height and that resistance is behind me, okay? So if I attach something back here, I have that resistance behind me and I go to throw a punch, I think there's minimal value to that. there is some value. It kind of teaches that initial explosiveness. It teaches some full extension stability of that punching arm. But the problem I have with it is the discrepancy between the level of resistance at the beginning of the punch and at the end of the punch. Those two extreme ranges of motion is too great to be useful. It might be a 30-pound resistance here and a 100-pound resistance out here. It's tough to learn to apply power through that kind of a dynamic. How we can mitigate that is by adding resistance, making weight resistance a bigger portion of that of that weight. Make it more representative of that weight. So in other words, if I have a landmine that I attach 100 pounds to, suddenly the band resistance isn't as great, and I can learn to more effectively apply force throughout the movement of that punch. Now, if we want to attach the resistance to the front of us, so we put something up here, pull the band back, and then, sorry, this thing kind of fell on me, pull the band back, and then use it to force us into a quicker punch, I think there is more value with that. It's over speed. I mean, people, in track and field, they'll use a big stretch bands to kind of pull them along a little bit quicker, or they'll run on a slight downgrade to kind of increase that cycling time. It's learning how to just move that body a little bit quicker. Don't make it a big pull. You don't want to have a ton of force on that stretch. You want that because you're not going to be able to consciously apply muscle power in order to keep up with that movement. You want that stretch band to allow your voluntary muscle force to move infinitesimally faster. And it does that by removing a little bit of the weight component of the arm. You remove that, you can move just a little bit faster. You can train your body to go a little bit faster, train your arm to go a little bit faster, that then translates into a punch with gloves and with wraps. I have plenty of examples of this on my website, but just think about relaxing fully, going out with a full speed punch, and just having that band just aid a little bit so that we can start to build that into the neuromuscular machinery of the body. Okay, let's answer, I'll do one more, and it's gonna be a DM. Who was next? All right, so hey, I'm pretty new with boxing. What are some good ways to improve my head movement? All right, so the biggest problems I see with head movement, number one, people move their shoulders out of the way. I don't care where your shoulders are. Get the head out of the way. Think about the top of that head being the first thing that moves. People keep that head up and down because they're going to continue to look up and down. Get comfortable with having to look upside down for a period of time. All right. The second thing people do is when they slip, they kind of slip away from the fight. Right now I'm looking over here. My opponent's up here. If he throws a looping right hand, I'm not even going to see that. So when I slip, make sure that my nose is in the center of that, depending on how crooked your nose is. Both eyes are kind of facing that opponent. You want to be able to see him fully. And another thing I see is that people have a tendency to kind of slip out of the fight. I might slip perfectly fine here, but I don't have an opportunity from back here to return the favor. So for the most part, you want to be able to slip in a position where you can then return the favor, block effectively, or just pull out. If you're going to slip downwards, say I'm inside, I want to kind of slip a hook, it's a good movement, but there are some dangers there. Number one, obviously, if I slip down, I can eat an uppercut, so be aware of that. Number two, I'm gonna lose contact visually with my opponent for a period of time. So be aware of that. All right, do it safely. And then the second part of that question, and punching power if I don't have weights at home. You have weights at home, you just don't realize it. All weights are, it doesn't have to say York on the side, it just has to be something heavy. Whether that's a car tire, whether that's a piece of furniture, a wheelbarrow, a giant rock or log, a bucket full of water, a person, another person. Just learn to grab something heavy and move it quickly. Don't forget about calisthenics, weighted calisthenics, you know, something that I'm grabbing and then I jump and explode that way up. Jump push-ups with some weight on your back. Single arm plyometrics. I mean, a single arm jump push-up might be all the resistance that you're ever going to require. A single leg jump squat from a bench might be all the resistance that you're going to require. So you'll have to get a little creative, but don't let that hold you back. You have plenty of ways of applying resistance at home. All right, so that's it. We'll shut it down today. If I haven't gotten to your question yet, I will. I'm kind of going in order, but keep them coming, man. This is like a good opportunity for us to stay connected in spite of everything that's going on. So stay well. See you guys next time.